And hey guys, I am with Joseph Graves, aka Gravy, which I love talking about how to brand yourself out there. He was like one of the first ones that I did. They usually still have the I hate buying insurance. Is that still the
Yeah, that's the name of my company. I hate buying insurance because everybody loves buying insurance.
Right. That's my favorite thing. But one of my buddies, I don't know if you ever met Adrian Adams before, but when he first went into financial planning, one of the cool things I think he did was he'd meet with clients and he'd have two things. Here's an application to start your retirement account, and here's an application to work at McDonald's. You're going to fill one of these things out someday. You get to pick which one you want to do, right? So
Yeah.
it's the reality of the situation. It's not necessarily something you're excited about. It's something we all got to have, right?
That necessary evil, but it doesn't have to be painful. 15 minutes or less is kind of a lie, but it doesn't also have to be painful.
So the reason I wanted to talk to Joseph, obviously he's somebody I remembered. I actually was talking about him just last week, and I was so happy when he popped into LinkedIn and left me a message to reconnect. And he found this a little bit incredible, but it's completely true. I was just talking about something that he did on a coaching call last week. And because of his branding, I didn't have to go through my Rolodex in my mind of who is this? It's Gravy. Well, and I pulled him right back up and reached back out to him. Knew who he was immediately. It was a perfect example. But he was doing a networking group a while back. And if I'm going to try to summarize a little bit of what I think it was, and he's going to go into some more detail on it. But he would send me on Monday morning, I think it was, some of the best events that he curated.
Monday.
Right. It curated what some of the best network events. What my mind was, curated stuff is cool because it saved me an hour of time of going through Eventbrite or Meetup or all these things out there. And he picked up the best of the best. And then through that, he grew kind of his own network where he's able to start putting on his own events. So how did that all come about? Was that a unique idea, or tell me more about that, man?
Well, the whole networking thing started about 8 years ago now. I work for myself, mostly work from home, and I don't have that office, the water cooler to sit around and talk to people, talk about the game and things. And I just stumbled upon meetup.com. I thought, wow, there's all these great events. And back then there was roughly one or two of these business networking events a day. Now there's dozens of them all over the place. But so I just started engaging these. I have my own personality and style, the way I do my business and just who I am, like a silly nickname, Gravy, run on my last name, Graves. But I just started engaging, and it became, one, a social outlet, but it was also very good for business.
Interesting. So your own kind of idea to kind of curate those and pick the groups, and how did you determine which events that you're going to pick? Because to me, when you started, I guess you kind of morphed it into, in my mind, I really went to the events that you did more than I did the ones that you recommended, although I loved what you recommended. So what did that look like?
Well, yeah, so for those that are watching, you could go to Eventbrite, Meetup, several other resources. Big organizations like Network After Work, which is nationwide, started to pop up. It was like, which one should I go to? Well, I was going to a lot of them. I mean, again, working for myself, I had the freedom. I made my own schedule. I could go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner some days, literally, and work till midnight doing quotes. So I started to go to these, and everybody was finding their way.
Right.
So going to these, I found the ones that I enjoyed. And then just the idea came to mind that I don't want to reach out to everybody about insurance and the latest term life insurance rates or the changes in this. Why not talk about networking? A lot of people were going. I was making friends. Yes, business was happening. I believe friends first, business will happen where it may. But so for myself, it was a great way to look through what was coming in the next week and map out, and you should do that, map out where you're going to be when you're going to be there. Once we're allowed back out into society after this COVID lockdown. And then I just shared it with a few people, and they said, this is great. So I turned it into a way to say, when I met someone at a networking event versus going, can I send you a quote? Nobody wants that. It was, hey, I put together a weekly list of it's not all the events, and it's not even an endorsement, but these are events that I've typically gone to in the past. Would you like to get that list? Yes, they would say. And that put me in front of people each and every week. So I found something to talk to people about that was relevant to them, networking, but not salesy and not all about me.
All right. So how long did that live? How long were you able to do that?
The only reason that ended a couple years ago is I ran into, and I hadn't discussed this with you yet for this video, but I ran into a lot of heartbreaks. 3 years ago, my dad passed, but it was really a little over 2 years ago, I lost a best friend, my first wife, to a car accident, the mother of my children. Well, that month was shot. And
that would have been a year for me, man. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we were best friends to the end. We divorced when my youngest was just 2. But networking was a great way to build these events, going to these to build my network. And that's when I started to practice what I preached about: follow up, engage people. I was better than most because I've met thousands of people.
Right.
And most of you go to these events, you have a beverage, you hand out business cards, you get a I put them away. I actually have still a big stack of business cards I use as a demonstration, and you do nothing. I was better than most, but not as good as I wanted to be, and that forced me to re-engage everybody that I had met. And I'm still with over 3,000 LinkedIn connections. You can only send so many messages a day. And now with this COVID-19 lockdown, I have built my network doing the in-person networking. Well, you have to go back. You just can't keep always, if you keep planting seeds in front of you, you're never going to see the crop that's grown up behind you.
Dude, I had no idea this was going that way, but one, thanks for sharing that, because I know I don't want to just give you a virtual hug. The high S in my disc profile is like going,
all those now,
right?
Yeah.
It's just like wanting to go out and love on you a little bit. And, you've always had a kind of a special place in my mind. I mean, it was maybe 10 years ago when the networking thing started, I would say 2010, 9, 11.
Yeah, actually it was, because I time flies. I'm thinking about, I was in a second marriage that sadly, nobody gets married to get divorced, but did end. And that it was a transition then. So it was probably about 9-10 years ago that the whole meetup and all these groups fell into my life. So it was again a great social outlet and has been very good for business.
So practicing what he preached, he reached out to me through a LinkedIn message. Talk to me about, and my thoughts were, this is why I thought you quit doing it, that you became a victim of your own success. It was no longer necessary because you proved your point. And I guess somewhat there's some truth to that, because as you're telling me kind of what you're going through, you got so many contacts now. Walk me through what you did differently that you think you were practicing what you preach, as far as what are you supposed to follow up. So when I go to a networking event, instead of having a beer and exchanging a card and going and filing it, what should we be doing with those?
Well, I followed a process to the point where somebody once said, I still do handwritten, and I should have grabbed my props, but I still do handwritten note cards. There's also great services like send out cards, but I would sit there and just pen out, not everybody you meet at an event. There you go. Perfect.
Where are they at? Right here where I can grab them easily by the side of my desk.
Mine are over there. And whether you get nice ones like that, or there's these boxes that you can buy at Target, you get 200 note cards for about $16, and they're in nice colors.
It was like 1,000. I think I got 500 of them were like $20, and I'd add in for somebody that had given me a referral, something, a $5 Panera card.
Absolutely. If there is something memorable about the person you met, or you believe there's, I'm an insurance guy, so there's all the natural connections for me. But even businesses, I genuinely like to be the connector. And that's, I think, the biggest key to my success is I didn't reach out about me. Yes, I did hope eventually. And it was nice when you were at an event and there's 10, 20 other insurance people in the room, and someone comes up and goes, can you help me with fill in the blank? Like, yeah, nice, just for being yourself. But I would send a note card. I would reach out on LinkedIn. So I had a little process that I would follow. So whatever your process is, to those watching, have a process. That's the main point. So I'd get their card. I'd put them into Outlook. Didn't have a CRM back then. I'd find them on LinkedIn or somewhere like that. Write a handwritten note card. And then I wasn't the kind, you don't call the next day. That's so salesy and cheesy. Meet them, engage them. Maybe a week later, I'd follow up with a phone call. If it went somewhere in a great conversation, those were relationships that I would nurture. Most of them just became great friends.
Dude, you're a coach. You're a coach. You're just not getting paid for it. That's what you're, a connector and a coach.
I need to learn from the best.
And I really,
and you know, there's the pre-crowding, that's getting dressed up and getting ready for the event, making sure you have enough business cards. Or now I use a digital smart business card that I text people.
yeah,
You know, so there's the crowding, that's your engagement, but post-crowding,
right.
that's 75% of it. You know, dress for the event, dress appropriately, show up, engage people. But what you do afterwards, and again, I was better than most, but not as good as I could have been. And upping my game is what has saved my business. When Obamacare went to no commissions and people were passing away, and I had a home that was supposed to take 6 months to remodel. It took 10, and I couldn't live in it for 6 months. All kinds of stuff was going on. But because of the network I had built, re-engaging people, it's like the old Verizon commercial. That guy has a lot of people behind him.
Right.
The problem with networking that I started to see is sometimes the same people again and again and again. It was like a cult. So mix up the events you go to things that aren't necessarily business networking. Go to things you enjoy, hiking groups, or there's so much on Meetup and Eventbrite where you can go and engage real people in a real situation and let the relationship naturally happen. If you're a realtor or mortgage or insurance or whatever your thing is, engage people where they are, have some fun, make some friends, because people do still, even in this virtual world, still like to do business with people they like and know.
My boss says it every day. Know, like, and trust. That's who we do business with. People we know, like, and trust. So different tangents we could go off on there. So maybe we should save some of that for a different time. But really, really good stuff, Joseph Gravy. I love it, man. Thanks so much for reaching out and connecting with me. I like to kind of keep these around 15 minutes, and I think this is right on the mark. So I appreciate it. So how do people find you? I'll put this in show notes and everything if they want to engage with you.
Well, as counterintuitive as it sounds, my domain actually just forwards to Facebook right now.
Okay.
IHateBuyingInsurance.com. IHateBuyingInsurance.com. And a website's important, but we're not missing a beat. I am busier right now than I have ever been.
Yeah.
Because of connections, referrals, engaging your current client base. We'll get a website up, but you can email joe@IHateBuyingInsurance.com. Would love to connect.
I'll put it out there for you. Thanks so much for taking the time to share with me. I'm glad we connected. I'm sure we're going to talk again soon.
Thank you for having me. Bye.